Good afternoon, and a warm welcome to our esteemed guests, professors, and the postgraduate students of the new Masters in Rehabilitation Sciences, Masters of Science in Psychosocial Rehabilitation, and Masters in Applied Psychology students to the commencement lecture for the postgraduates at JIBS. I'm Ananya Nair, a second-year student pursuing my Masters in Applied Psychology with a specialization in Organizational and Industrial Psychology. Feels like only yesterday that I was sitting in the same crowd and listening to my first ever commencement lecture. And on behalf of your senior cohort, I hope that we can be of help to you and help you smoothen with this transition into your masters. With that, I extend my warm greetings to everyone present here. Joining us today is our esteemed chief guest, Dr. G. Anupama, IAS, Additional Chief Secretary to the Health and Family Welfare Department, Government of Haryana, Professor of Eminence, Dr. Sanjeev P. Sahni, Founder and Principal Director, Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences, Professor Sridhar Patnaik, Registrar, OP Jindal Global University, and Dr. Pulkit Khanna, Executive Dean, Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences. I invite Dr. Pulkit Khanna to present the welcome address.
A very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you, Ananya, for starting and setting the tone for this event. It's actually a rather emotional moment for all of us because it seems, just like she said just yesterday, when exactly about 11 months ago from today, we were at a similar venue for the first ever commencement lecture of JIBS. And now to see the special batch who we've often called the inaugural batch, and I know they wear that title with pride on their sleeves. They often begin to smile the moment we use the word inaugural batch. Here as the senior batch to welcome all of us. I am delighted to extend my warmest greetings and welcome to everybody present here at this venue today. Our esteemed chief guest, Dr. G. Anupama, my colleagues from the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences, my colleagues from the admissions team who have been very, very instrumental in all the effort that's gone in to make this day a reality. But last and not the least, the most important people today, which is all of our students. The first year students who are here from 3 new programs, and also the second year students who joined us last year as the inaugural cohort. Now, new beginnings always indicate tremendous possibility, and today we find ourselves at the verge of another such new beginning. But as we start off on this new beginning, I think it's a very opportune moment to also be slightly nostalgic and take a trip down memory lane to over 9 years ago when the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences was first conceptualized, when in the year 2014 JIBS set out. It was obviously always a very, very visionary and ambitious journey led by the principal director and the founder, Professor Sanjeev P. Sahni. But nevertheless, the last few years have seen so much growth. Just to share with everybody present, I think most of you as members of the JIBS family and my other esteemed colleagues from across JGU who are here know that JIBS in all that it does tries to keep behavioral sciences research and its dissemination at the forefront, be it in academics, be it through research, or through capacity building and training and outreach initiatives. But the newest of this lot is our foray into the postgraduate degree programs. Back in 2020, during the pandemic, when most people were thinking of how to cope with the challenges that the world had thrown at us, we at JIBS were conceptualizing our first master's degree programs. And all of that intensive planning is what led to the 2022 intake of the MA-MSc Applied Psychology program. I feel so proud on behalf of our entire team at JIBS to share with you that today we have not 1 or 2 or 3, but 5 specialized programs in this room with us today. I think that moment does call for a moment of applause for everyone who's here. Today we have seated in this bright young cohort students who are pursuing a master's in community psychology, students pursuing a master's in industrial and organizational psychology, students pursuing masters in forensic and investigative psychology. We did not stop at that journey which started just last year, but this year is again a moment of tremendous pride and also immense opportunity for us because, licensed by the Rehabilitation Council of India, we become the first institution in the country to welcome a cohort to study Masters in Psychosocial Rehabilitation, and also perhaps only the second in the country to offer a graduate program in rehabilitation science. All of you young students, yes, please do not hesitate if you feel like clapping. So I think this clapping or this enthusiasm is only a reflection of all that lies ahead of you. But today is again a moment for all of you to understand what a special place you're all in, to value how far you've come from wherever you were at this time last year to make this journey a reality, but also resolve to make the most of what lies ahead of you for the coming 2 years. Please know that all of us at Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences are going to be there with you every step of the way. But what we seek is your immense dedication, complete commitment to the cause at hand, so that when you graduate, you have the world at your feet and all the possibilities that you can make into a reality. With those words, I will stop and wish you all the very best for today's inaugural address, the commencement lecture, and also the journey ahead for the coming 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you for your profound words, Professor. I'm sure they have reassured everybody here of your unwavering support and thus setting the tone for a very promising and successful journey ahead. It is my honor to invite Professor of Eminence, Dr. Sanjeev P. Sahni, founder and principal director of Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences, to deliver the introductory address.
Very good afternoon. I'm very happy today because I've been fighting with Government of India when I was working with the Government of India as well. Then I thought, who could be an appropriate person to come and deliver the commencement talk? Because I wanted to talk to the government secretary level people. I remember first, before I talk about Dr. G. Anupama, Rajesh Agarwal, Secretary, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, he was here and he addressed all our students. And that's why we thought that we should go ahead with RCI and get these few programs registered with them. But my request and fight with the government people are that please consider mental health as one of the most important function of Ministry of Welfare. Why I say that? Right now, the Government of India, I work very closely with the Government of India. I also served a few ministries. What I saw that only now, even now, the only mental health budget is only 1.3% of the total health budget, which is a very meager amount. Whereas WHO says, World Health Organization 2010 monogram, that 83% of the total diseases existed in this world are psychosomatic in nature. And if that is the case, then why we are not giving enough budget to mental health? Haryana government is doing an amazing job, I'm fully aware, but I'm talking about center. Every time I fight for a better mental health policies. I hope all of you are aware, way back in 1940, the first Lunacy Act came into existence where we were talking about that, these people who are suffering with mental health issues, they are insane. And we used to put even chains and other things to confine in one particular room. National Institute of Mental Health Neurosciences, way back in 1987, I have seen personally with my own eyes, there were certain people with chains on. I'm glad way back in 87, I hope I'm taking the correct years, that a new mental health policy came into existence with full of flaws into it. We again talked to the government, and I happen to know a few good health secretaries and pushing it up. Then in 2014, we got a revised mental health policy, which is much better. But if I tell you what happened in all over the world, whether it's the US or UK, that as soon as they give a new mental health policies, they start working, they put another commission to work on it, and for another 10 years, they are ready after 10 years, the new mental health policies, because the number of psychological issues which were there earlier may not be existing, or maybe new diseases. Like somebody in my class, I was talking about that ADHD, attentional deficit. ADHD and hyperactivity disorder was not existing, or people were not aware 30 years back, because of the invent of the various technological things and the nuclear family, and because the parental neglect, all those kind of things has developed the ADHD among children. So the new diseases are also, we are keep on inventing kind of things, so that, and those things needs to go into those kind of policies. In India, we all know the mental health is being neglected. It's not that she is here, I'm praising Haryana. I do a lot of studies where Haryana is doing so very well on women empowerment, on family and health issues, as well as on mental health issues. I know that Haryana was the first state to start with the drug de-addiction centers in every nook and corner of Haryana. I worked there as well. So my question is, today, I want a recognition of a mental health experts. I want a recognition that what kind of a work, is, what kind of a manpower is required, basically. That is the reason, madam, we have started, first time in India, Masters in Rehabilitation Science. First time in India. And first time in India, we have also started the Masters in Psychosocial Rehabilitation. Oh, just a correction, that rehabilitation is there in Holy Cross as well. Only one college in India. We are the second one. But Masters in Psychosocial Rehabilitation, we are the first one in India. We require at least 40,000 psychosocial rehabilitation expert in India. Not only that, Arab countries, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, our neighboring countries are also looking at us, that if we can provide these kind of a manpower to them. I'm glad RCI has given us, I'm not rather glad, but only 20 seats, and it's been filled up immediately. We would like to do it with 200 students. India needs them. But I don't want to stand between Dr. G. Anupama and myself, but I want to tell you I'm very grateful that she has come, and I assure you on behalf of this university, any kind of a mental health program you will ask us to run in entire Haryana, we will be the first one to participate and conduct those kind of programs. Thank you very much. And I'm glad that Professor C. Rajkumar, founder, Vice Chancellor, he's also here. Can we put up one chair also? You want to say something? Please. Right.
All right. Very, very good morning to all of you. As Dr. Sani mentioned, we started this university in the year 2009. And I had proposed this idea that we'll begin every academic session with something called the commencement lecture. Now, little did I know that at that time, at least, we will soon have 12 schools and 2 more institutes and some more other centers. And finally, we end up having 14 commencement lectures to be conducted in the span of 3 days. And I am present in all of them. So I just want to apologize for coming late, because we had something in Delhi today, and then we also had a commencement lecture in which Dr. Reddy is speaking at the Jindal School of Public Health and Human Development. Of course, Madam Anupama is here for the commencement lecture of the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences. I will, of course, say a few words just to formally extend a warm welcome to all the students who have joined the master's program programs at the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences. I'm sure you've already been briefed that the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences is one of the most outstanding and also deeply engaged institute of the university. Its research record has been absolutely amazing. But more than the research that the institute conducts, the faculty members led by Dr. Sani have been pioneering at the level of making substantial impact in the community. They have conducted literally thousands of programs across all states and union territories of India, and we have done that as a part of our own effort to make a contribution to society. We don't charge for these programs. It's our own commitment to the wider sections of society in which issues surrounding mental health, but also the other aspects of behavioral sciences are promoted and the community is served. The other aspect of the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences is a strong research record. The faculty members have been at the forefront of producing publications, including scholarly publications, research articles, as well as scopus publications. They have had a stellar record of books and journal articles, all of which has had a very significant impact on that front as well. I also want to mention that it's a very relatively new institute, and for JIBS to have achieved so much in a very short span of time speaks volumes about the extraordinary contribution and commitment and dedication of its faculty members and the staff. Besides its contribution in relation to research and knowledge and capacity building and training and other such things, it also conducts numerous courses. The JIBS faculty members conducts, and it's one of the most popular set of electives serving the entire university. We are a very, very multidisciplinary university with all these 12 schools I mentioned. And these 12 schools, among the most popular elective courses that the university offers, the courses offered by the JIBS faculty members are indeed the most popular electives, and it cuts across all disciplines, including the law school, the business school, the School of International Affairs, the School of Public Policy, the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, the School of Journalism and Communication, the School of Art and Architecture, the School of Banking and Finance, the School of Environment and Sustainability, the School of Psychology and Counseling, which is a separate school that we have, the School of Languages and Literature, and the Jindal School of Public Health and Human Development. I also want to mention that for all the students who have joined here, I know that you will be pursuing a specialized master's degree program, but it's important for you to recognize the larger university that you are part of, and that university has been created with a view to fulfilling the wider aspiration of building a world-class university in India. The faculty members who we have in this university, nearly 1,200 of them, full-time faculty members, they come from 52 countries in the world. The students, nearly 11,000 of them, they come from 60 plus countries in the world. And both the faculty and the students come from all states and union territories of India. And in that sense, we are a microcosm of the world and India, and we have been able to build this institution in a relatively short span of time as we mark the 15th year of our evolution. We were created as the first private university in the state of Haryana, so I want to pay special tribute to Madam Anupama for their support as a part of the government of Haryana. We were established as the first private university, and of course, over the years, we have grown in size and reputation, and more recently, since 2020, we are now under the ambit of the Government of India, having been recognized as an institution of eminence. There are only 8 public universities and 4 private universities in the country out of 1,100 plus universities to have been given the status of an institution of eminence. This vision of the institution of eminence is essentially to identify few Indian universities and give them the status of IOE with a view to propelling them to become world-class universities. It was the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, who is in many ways conceived the idea of the IOE nearly 4 years ago, and a transparent selection process was put together, and in that process, we, among other institutions, were selected. I also want to mention that the students of the JIBS who have joined the master's program, besides your teaching and your opportunities to pursue research under the umbrella of JIBS, I hope you will also participate in the internationalization efforts. We have collaborations with over 400 universities in 75 plus countries in which we do different forms of international collaborations. They include student exchange programs, dual degree programs, short-term study abroad programs, and immersion programs. And all those programs have direct opportunities for students of JIBS. Please reach out to your assistant dean and associate dean within JIBS, but also the international office of OP Jindal Global University. These the staff members and faculty will help you, guide you, support you, and mentor you so that these international opportunities that have been created for you, you are able to make the best use of it. I also want to mention that we are a very egalitarian institution. We have tried and worked very hard to ensure that access to education is available for students who can't afford. We have been very generous about our scholarship scheme, and I'm sure some of you have been recipients of that merit cum means scholarship that we provide. In addition to that, we are a very diversified community. Over nearly 50% of our students are women, 55% of our faculty members are women, and nearly 50% of leadership positions held in the university are women. There are other forms of diversity that are deeply embedded in our institution, and those forms of diversity you will recognize. And so I also want to make sure that you appreciate the fact that this diversity needs to be protected, preserved, and promoted. I want you to recognize that there will be people who will be different from you. They will be belonging to different religions, caste, and different backgrounds, social, economic backgrounds, may have different political views. They may come from different parts of India. They may speak different languages, have different food habits. All of that is part of a diversified community that we have created. We are also conscious of the need to promote inclusivity, and that's one way to do that is to recognize the need for access, and which we've done through scholarship. But also there are other projects, initiatives, as well as work of the centers which clearly is conscious of promoting that inclusivity, and JIBS is leading that effort as well. Lastly, we are also very conscious of bridging the gap between theory and practice. What happens in the classroom is just one aspect of the teaching pedagogy. You will have enough opportunities to pursue research projects as well as capstone projects and other such initiatives outside the campus, which also will enable you to achieve your fullest potential. Besides all these academic things that I talked about, I want you to be part of a campus community. You're, after all, living in a residential campus. There are amazing facilities in sports and extracurricular activities, music, theatre, drama. We have over 25 plus student-run societies, each of which is part of an effort to build the social and cultural life of our students on campus. I sincerely hope that as you enter into the master's program, don't neglect and ignore those aspects of your personality. Build on that and nurture those talents that all of you have developed over your years in school and college. You're entering into a higher education institution in a master's program, even a PhD program, should not let you forget and ignore those aspects of your personality, and we have provided those opportunities for our students. It's a very culturally vibrant campus, and there are great opportunities for you to pursue that as well. As I end my reflections, I want to say that as you are indeed in a privileged situation, it's important for you to see to what extent you can make an impact on the future. If there is one lesson that COVID has taught all of us, is that we can't take our privileges for granted. While you are receiving high quality privileged education here, a lot of people around the world don't get that education. That means with this privilege comes responsibility. As you pursue your master's degree program in JIBS, I want you to think about how your work can impact the society at large, how you can change the world for the better, and how each of those changes will affect, impact, and positively change lives and impact the future. This is one aspect which is a continuing theme. I'm sure you will keep it in mind. So once again, welcome to OP Jindal Global University and the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences. Congratulations to all of you for having being admitted to some of the most pioneering and interdisciplinary programs, not just in India, but even beyond. I want to extend a warm welcome to all the faculty members of JIBS who joined the wider community of the university. Congratulations to my dear friend and colleague, Professor Sanjeev P. Sani, for spearheading JIBS all through these years to make it as one of India's leading institutions, which has also now become a global research institution with partnerships in many organizations around the world. I also want to thank the other faculty members in JIBS, including its vice dean, assistant dean, associate dean, and fellow directors and deans who have been helping and supporting the evolution of JIBS. As I said, I will be slipping away shortly, but I just wanted to make it a point to come and say hello to all of you and to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the university, and of course to greet Madam Anupama for taking the effort to all the way to come from Chandigarh to be with us and to bless us and to support us in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor C. Rajkumar, for joining us today and sharing your thoughtful insights and reinforcing a very promising future. Thank you, Professor Sahni, for imparting your inspiring and profound thoughts to us. Your words have not only enlightened our minds, but also reassured us that we're in the hands of exceptional leadership. Joining us today as our chief guest, Dr. G. Anupama is the Additional Chief Secretary at the Health and Family Welfare Department, Government of Haryana. Dr. Anupama received her medical degree from Osmania Medical College, Hyderabad, and proceeded to qualify as an IAS officer in 1991 after her first attempt at the UPSC exams. With a distinguished career spanning across various government positions, including SDM, ADC, Administrator Huda, and Deputy Commissioner in multiple locations across Haryana, such as Bhinwani, Sonipat, Rewari, Mewat, Faridabad, Gurgaon, and Panchkula, Dr. Anupama brings a wealth of experience in urban planning and development, rural development, women empowerment, and soft power subjects like tourism, science and technology, and forests. Notably, during her tenure as the Chief Executive Officer of Mewat Development Agency, Dr. Anupama successfully executed a UN-assisted project for comprehensive area development in Mewat. Her relentless effort in social and economic empowerment of women through credit and thrift societies, community-based approaches, awareness and health camps, and technology adoption have empowered more than 10,000 women, federated into self-help groups with remarkable savings mobilization exceeding 100 crores, a pioneering achievement in the region. Dr. Anupama's impactful contributions have also extended to the Government of India, where she served in the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, and as Joint Secretary in SIR and Science and Technology departments. Notably, she underwent training at the prestigious National Defense College, the highest institution in national security and international strategic affairs. Beyond her personal endeavors, Dr. Anupama is a keen naturalist, nurturing immense interest in gardening, reading, clairvoyance, and mind power. Her multifaceted personality is an inspiration to us all. I now invite upon stage Dr. Anupama to deliver the commencement lecture, followed by a question and answer session.
Professor Sani, Professor Naik, Professor Khanna, General Co-Chair, members of the faculty, and my dear students, a very good afternoon to you. At the very outset, let me congratulate all of you yet again for making it to this very prestigious university, of which the government of Haryana is also indeed very proud of. I feel honored to be standing here in front of you to give the commencement lecture of this very new course, a PG course that the university is starting. And I must congratulate the faculty, Professor Sani, and each one of you here. Last 2 years has been a new world. You all weathered the very difficult COVID phase. I'm sure much of your graduation was online, and unfortunately you missed campus life. which has no replacement whatsoever in this world. That's the best years you can ever have. I feel sorry that, like you, several children had to miss, but it dawned a new reality on every one of us. Of the many things COVID taught us, all the pitfalls of what we were not prepared for. There are so many, I do not even want to spend time enumerating, but whether it's in personal relations, whether it's in emotional space, whether it's at workplace, whether it's industry, whether it's productivity, whether it's national economy, international economy, or the softer parts of learning how to help each other, compassion, empathy, sympathy, and so on. COVID was the biggest teacher. That one microvirus taught us a lot. To have weathered all that, done your graduations, and then found admission to this very prestigious institution speaks for your resilience. How very steadfast, how very hardworking, and how very industrious you all must have been to make it through, pass through that, and then come here to be part of this commencement lecture today. So my congratulations again to all of you. Professor Sani reached out to me and said I should give a commencement lecture on mental health. So there's a big thing my office prepared for me, but I don't think I can talk about it, seeing what the composition of the students, and so I don't really think I'll want to talk much about mental health, but maybe share some of my thoughts to young students as I see them here. I must say there's something about this university, although it's a young university, so the sense of youth is all pervading. The students look like middle school children, and the professors look like undergrad students. So it's nice. It's a good feeling. So I, with all my 32 years in government, now I am actually feeling young standing here. And thanks for that vibe that you people are spreading. So COVID, of the many things that COVID brought to us, to center stage is mental health. It has been taught in schools and colleges, more so in medical college, very less in any other college, and few students of psychology. I happen to have psychology as one of my subjects for the UPSC exam. So the years in which I qualified for the UPSC, there were no medical subjects. So being a doctor, I had to take psychology and sociology. So there's one particular subject, one book we all read, Abnormal Psychology by Coleman. So it lists all those syndromes, and every page you read felt like, oh, I have this, sister has this, dad has this, grandmother has this, so this professor certainly has this. You know, while it sounds very funny, it's so true, because whatever is described in that book is what we are all living with. So all those aggregated signs and symptoms put together into nice fashionable names and syndromes are actually what we are all living with. Mental health, if you actually go into the definition of health, it's a state of complete physical, emotional, psychological, mental well-being, not just absence of disease or infirmity. That is the technical definition of health. But medical science has focused so much on physical health simply because survival was the challenge. In an age when countries are still developing, when the economies are not very prosperous, particularly our country, which became independent as recent as less than 100 years old. So our focus was on sustaining our people first, make them survive whichever way. So the overemphasis on physical well-being. I think that answers your question. Like you said, only 1% of health budget goes to mental health. Now we have reached a certain stage where we are on par with global standards. We are aspiring. We are a global community. We have made a mark internationally as a very productive economy. we contribute a huge amount of human resource into the global pool of intellectual talent, and then realize that yes, mental health also needs to be addressed because it is taking away our productivity. World over, why has mental health become very important is because WHO statistics say about $1 trillion of productivity is lost every year because of mental health problems. And that's quite a lot. So mental health is also now defined as a high branch of specialization. It's taught in medical subjects in any ways and in behavioral subjects in humanities. And in general, it has now gained center stage and attention because it is affecting every section of the population. Stress has become sine qua non of the modern times. Small children are under stress. Time se jana, tuition pe jana, football ground mein jana, jaldi aana. Oh, the child is, youngsters, I have to prepare for IT, JII, NEET and tutorials and this and that. Parents, तुम्हारा rank ठीक नहीं आया, तुमने ये नहीं पढ़ा, you're overweight, you're less weight. Parents have this also, I'm surprised. Most parents have a problem. My daughter doesn't find a boyfriend. Oh God, something wrong with her. Stress. The mom is terribly stressed. And students, you're under stress. You have to aspire, you have to achieve, you have to accomplish, you have to get good grades, you have to please your parents, you have to please your peers, you have to be very fashionable, but you have to be yourself. And there's so many things going on. In this context, this particular subject in which a postgraduate degree is coming up, psychosocial rehabilitation, becomes so important because it's not just a specialized study that we need to do, but every individual needs to be aware and inculcate into oneself as part of your thinking. It's a thought process. It must get in. I hope from this small cohort that has begun with 20 seats, I'm told, you will increase in a big number because the number of mental health care specialists, whether it is clinical specialists or the paraclinical specialists, clinical psychologists, criminal psychologists, counselors, social workers, psychiatrists, rehab workers, trained nurses, the space for mental health employment is just so much because the caregivers are far too many, far too less. The people who need care are too many, but the caregivers are too less. In fact, there's a study by Wim Hans Bangalore that out of 120 million identified in India of people who need mental health care, only 30 million are coming in accessing care because we live in denial. For some strange reasons as it happens, anything to do with the mind is a stigma, it's a taboo. We do not want to acknowledge it. You as rehab students have to particularly work on this aspect, that there is no taboo. Help your friends, your colleagues, your family to come out of it. Rehab is like bringing them home, get them back, reskill them, make them empowered to come back to mainstream. And I must tell you, it's such a noble thought. The fact that you all have chosen this field of rehabilitation as a postgraduate degree course speaks for your hearts, your compassion, your kindness, your caring attitude, and your willingness to go that little extra mile to help someone come back home. It's a very beautiful thought, and imagine the combined aura of such positive souls in this room. I'm so grateful. It's just mind-blowing. As a student, I'm a personal student of mind and mind power, and I can tell you the aura in this room is just so enriching and so encompassing in compassion. It's beautiful. Please carry it with you as you go along in your academic life and your personal life. It's already there in you. So you have chosen this subject. You have willingly come to help somebody. in a very scientific way. That's why you're seeking a course like this. My best wishes to each one of you as you go along. Professor Sani spoke about the government space and the government's interventions in mental health. We have the National Mental Health Act, which is very overarching and very comprehensive. It provides for clinical care, it provides for homes, it provides for de-addiction, it provides for mental health as a human right. You will read, I'm sure you will be taught as you go along. That will be, I think, the foundation of where you take off on mental health. Like I earlier said, the gaps are also plenty. I'll be very happy if I was just talking to Professor Sani and asking him where the students go for the clinical training. So he just told me that you are attached to the medical hospital here, are you? And the schools, yeah. So I will be very happy if the children can be taken to, we have, government has a lot of these childcare institutions, what we call the CCIs, where orphan children and abandoned children are housed and they're trained and taught, and we kind of keep them there till they attain the age of 18. So we skill them, we get them jobs and so on. But the sheer stress of being away from home, they don't have a family. So we actually house them in houses like the SOS village concept. So there is a family, they have a mother and all, but it's not biological. So it will be nice if the students can actually visit some of our CCIs, childcare institutions. Likewise, old age homes. Those are the people who immensely need rehabilitation. They have been abandoned by their children whom they have brought up and made human beings out of. I'm talking on a very a right brain zone now. I'm talking of the compassion part of it. But you will go there with a very clinical, structured, scientific interventions. Likewise, we have the outreach camps and jails. There are so many under trials languishing in our prisons, waiting for the trial, waiting for justice. Imagine the psychological situation of those people. For years together, they're languishing. So while they are taught some skill and they are taken care of, basic food and all so on and so forth, but that will be real hands-on experience for these students to see what it is. What is that rehab that a person needs? Psychosocial rehabilitation. It's not just an income. And when they are released from jails, is society ready to accept them? We are not. There's so much stigma. Ye to jail se bahar aaya ji. Even if the person is acquitted of a crime that he's accused of, he or she, society finds it very difficult to accept them. Jails. Then we have these centers called one-stop centers. Have any one of you heard of one-stop centers, my dear girls? You have? I'm happy. So
We have initiated a project with the Haryana government to establish one-stop centers as well, and our student goes to prison every year as well.
lovely, lovely. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So this one-stop center is a Government of India intervention, which is a night shelter for a woman who is a victim of domestic violence or a sexual violence, and then she has nowhere to go and she needs to spend that couple of days till she's kind of found and taken home and so on and so forth. So these one-stop centers are there in every district. These are centers which you should certainly visit and study as part of your course to see what is it that's going on with these women, how are they being handled by the government at the moment, and what more needs to be done. Some of you will go on to become practitioners, some of you will go on to become administrators like me probably, but most of you I think will go on to become policy makers. You will be the ones who will be advocating what ought to be done to the government. And unless you've actually gone and seen how they're living and what is being done with them, you will not, the education is not complete. So I would strongly urge that you should visit all these centers and be able to gain first-hand insights and expertise. And likewise, we have these psychiatry departments In the medical colleges, we have more than 11 medical colleges, including the private colleges. I'll strongly urge the students must have some sort of an internship with the psychiatry department. Likewise, with the physiotherapy department, because they're all now on the rehab science. With rehab science is a lot about OT, getting people to skill and reskill and get them back to an employable skill and leave their daily life. So the physiotherapy departments are also very important. Likewise, the early intervention centers in the districts. Anybody heard of these DIECs? I see one hand. I'm happy at least one or two. So that also tells us how poorly communicating we are, that a lot of government programs have not reached or probably the students and their zone is very different. Yeah. So these are these district early intervention centers for children who have special needs. Children who have cognitive difficulties, children who have learning difficulties, who have spectrum disorders, ADHD, so on and so forth. Many children come who are not branded into any syndrome. They need not be, they should not be rather, but are not able to cope with daily life. So we have in government these kind of centers, which again I think you all must be exposed to. You must go and visit and do small internships. I'll be very happy if some of the students can do part trainings, or we can do some MOU with you and they spend a couple of months with us and so on and so forth in all these centers, because it will be enriching for the students. It will be very enriching for the government to get input from them and understand how to look at those rehabilitation areas in a different way, in a productive and meaningful way. Yes, so I'll be very happy to do that. And then, of course, on a campus like this, which is multilateral, multinational, global, drugs has become a bane. Unfortunately, Haryana is ranking very high. It's, I think, almost the third worst affected in the country. And the government is very emphatic about eliminating drugs and consumption of drugs, especially by the youngsters. My personal appeal to each one of you, and as a community, say no to drugs. There was a time when India was boasting and so happy and gloating just about 10 years ago that we are going to be a young country and we are going to benefit from a demographic dividend, that we are having a huge population of youngsters coming up, you know, the energy and the enthusiasm and the kind of spirit that youngsters bring to an economy. Unfortunately, most of our youngsters are now succumbing to the lure of drugs. This great demographic dividend we were dreaming about is actually going to remain a dream, I'm afraid. It's high time we wean students away from it and put them to other activities which are more productive, more enriching and more healthy. Like your VC just said, keep all your hobbies on. Painting, drawing, music, dance, talking, reading, whatever, keep your hobbies on. Drug is an escape. You don't need to escape from anybody. All of us as students, and students, when I say each one of us are learning every day, so I'm a student too, and so is professor and VC and everybody. We must have the courage to show what we are. Nobody is perfect. I may be having something wrong in me. That's all right. I'm aware of it. I'm trying to correct myself. I will be able to correct myself because I have a community so beautiful like this around me, which is going to help me. He spoke to you about inclusion, accepting diversity. Stop making judgments. Somebody's fair, somebody's dark, somebody's fair, somebody's tall, somebody's short, somebody's North Indian, somebody's South Indian, somebody's East Asian, somebody's African. We are all human beings. We are here in pursuit of excellence. We are here for academic education. We are here to pursue a dream, to excel academically so that we are able to make a good career for ourselves and a good life for ourselves. And diversity is only going to enrich you. Diversity is only going to improve you as a human being every single day. Please be open-minded. Please be very accepting of everybody you see, everything you see. Don't judge and come to conclusions. Just watch. Because you're postgraduate students. You're quite aware of what it takes in life. Just watch. And as you pursue your education and your research and publish and reach wherever you are, I just want to share a few thoughts which as youngsters I think you should all have. Irrespective of what others think of you, irrespective of what your peers expect of you, you believe in your dream. You pursue what you want to. You excel in what you want to excel in. And what is the mantra for that excellence? Only two things: hard work and focus. Intense hard work, sustained, consistent, persistent hard work, and razor-sharp focus. I will not swerve from my path. This is what I want to do and I shall do it. That alone will get you your success. Don't shy away from working hard. If you think someone else is going to come and make the difference for you, no, sorry. You will make your dream come true. You will make the difference for yourself, for your life. You are in charge of your life. You must have heard of this US basketball champion, Bryant. Some of you, yeah. So read about him, his book. Will someone name the book for me, please? He's written a lot of books on self-improvement and so on. So there's one thing about a mentality. He relates it to a snake, a very poisonous African snake. And he says, you must constantly improve yourself. What you are yesterday cannot be today. Yeah, she got it. What is that mentality? Exactly. You must constantly improve yourself. He also says one thing. When he was training, you go to the court at 10 a.m., play for 2 hours, 12 o'clock you take a break, go for lunch, you rest a while, go back to court again at 3 or 4, play a couple of hours, go for dinner, and then you're done. That's what everybody does. So Bryant says he would wake up at 4 and go to the basketball court at 4 a.m. every morning. 4 to 6 he'll play, 6 to 8 breakfast and music and whatever, and 10 he'll play, and 5 again he'll play. So he's played 2 extra hours compared to all others. Played is practiced. He's practiced 2 hours. So in a month, he's got 60 hours. In a year, he's got that many hours. And by the time someone else realized, oh, this guy has so many practice, so much more than me, and he wants to catch up after 2 years, you're 10 years ahead. There is no way your competitor can catch up with you if you spend that little extra time on your dream. Please do that. This intensely competitive world, which causes stress because we are not able to perform according to what we want to achieve, is just because we are falling short of the hard work it takes. And there is no shortcut. In life, there is no shortcut. Work hard, and work more hard. You will get the competitive edge. Second thing, in life, please remember, identify your people. Identify your stress valve. Each one of us have, like she just read, Ananya, very beautifully read my CV. I didn't know I was so great. Thanks. Thank you. Gardening. For me, gardening is such a passion after a long day of files and meetings and politicians and trade unions and workers and so on and so forth. I go home, whatever is the time. I spend an hour in the morning, early morning. I spend an hour in the evening. Even if it's as late as 8 p.m., I will still spend time at least on the terrace garden, if not on the ground floor garden. It's just my stress valve. It releases all the toxin that I have accumulated during the day. For each one of us, it's different things. Identify your valves and your people. You must have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, those go-to people. These days, I find lots of youngsters are so much on their own. It's good to be on your own, but you should also be part of the community, your like-minded people. Have them. Release that stress. Don't you yourself become a victim of that stress, which you are trying to help others get out of. Be very conscious about it. Today, 4th August, happens to be Barack Obama's birthday. So I thought I'll close with just a couple of quotes from him. He's been very inspiring, I would think, personally. And so I've just written a couple of them. He says, change will not come if we wait for someone else to bring it. We are the ones we've been waiting for. If some of you have heard, maybe you were slightly young when he became the president, his first inaugural speech, it must be there on the YouTube. Kindly take a look. He addresses change as a person. He doesn't say, I have come, I will do this, I will do that, I as president. He says, change has come. Change shall ensure this. Change shall do this. Change shall do this to America. Change. All of you are part of that. That change will not be brought by someone else. You are the ones who do it. There will be cynics always. There will be people who will criticize you, who will say, ये क्या select किया है, क्या rehab science क्या होता है, क्या नौकरी मिलेगा, कितना तनख्वाह मिलेगा, पूछा होगा ना, लोगों ने कहा होगा कि क्या कहाँ नौकरी कहाँ लगता है, इसमें क्या होता है, अच्छा तो कॉर्पोरेट में मिल जाएगा, मल्टीलैटरल में हो जाएगा, ये सब पूछा होगा लोगों ने. Cynics will always be there, and they are the loudest, but they accomplish the least. They have nothing to show, so they will shout at you. It's all right, let them be. Let them be. I'm not saying Barack Obama is saying this. Cynics are the loudest, but they accomplish the least. I really liked it, Today, while I was driving from Chandigarh, I have this habit. Every morning I say today's day, what is the importance of the day today? So I discovered Barack Obama's birthday, and I thought it's so relevant for here. The last one, this is the last thought I want to leave with each one of you. One voice can change the room. There's some conversation, some discussion, some narrative going on. One single voice can change the entire atmosphere of that room. You shall be those voices, each one of you. And I hope in times to come, I will be part of your rooms. I'll be waiting to see how each one of you will shape up and groom and come out of this college, of this prestigious institution, and make your mark on the global scenario. But I'll be waiting to enter your rooms. My best wishes to each one of you. Stay blessed, stay fit, stay healthy, sleep well, eat well, look after your families and your friends. Keep your rooms intact. Keep them filled with people and keep them intact. That's your cushion. That's your cushion. That's your stress valve. Keep them intact and achieve what you want to. The sky is the limit. You're in the best place. My best wishes to each one of you and to the university and the Institute of Behavioral Sciences. As you take on, I'm very, very happy. From the government, we'll be extremely delighted to collaborate with you and take on the students and work together. not only in this field, any other field also will be happy, because excellence is something everybody is pursuing. But in government, it is so hard to come by just because the canvas is just so huge. The breadth of the canvas on which we work is just unimaginable. But all pockets of excellence are all worth it. Every drop makes it worthwhile. Thank you very much for having me here today. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Anupama. As you quoted, a voice can change the room. Your voice has certainly filled our room with a lot of hope for a brighter and better future that we will be contributing to. If there are any questions that anybody would like to ask, we are opening the forum to any questions that Dr. Anupama can then address.
So no questions means it was either too very boring or I was outstanding. Oh yes, I see a hand, please, yes.
Ma'am, I would like to ask something. As you said about the one-stop center, they are very well hidden, and not many women know about that. And they are and our India, the country, it's facing so many domestic violence cases daily, which is not so good when we hear it. And there are so much hidden. Why is it so? Why are they so hidden and nobody knows about it? Yeah, I know about the safety of the domestic survivors, but still, why is it so hidden?
You're right. You're absolutely right. I don't know if this is working, but I think I'm audible. It's okay. I agree to what you're saying. Like I said a little while ago, there is very little information dissemination that has happened. Although we do spend a considerable amount of budget on advertisements, on letting people know, we do a lot of jingles, and probably we're doing them in media which is not accessed by youngsters. Probably the place where the target audience to which we are addressing those newspaper ads don't reach everybody. I do understand there is a huge gap. In the rural areas, actually, we have the Anganwadi workers. Have you heard of the Anganwadi workers? So at the grassroots level, absolute grassroots level in the village, there are 3 women workers who work with women. So one is the Anganwadi worker who looks after pregnant women and children 0 to 6 years. There is the ASHA worker, accredited social health activist, she's called, ASHA worker. And the third one is an ANM. She's an auxiliary nurse midwife. So the only time women come to seek any help is when they're pregnant. Otherwise, women in India don't count. Rest of the world also, they didn't count, except when they're contributing to the economy, I'm sorry. But so we aim to target them at that time, and that's when they come in contact with the government. So there are these 3 grassroots level workers who are part of all the trainings, they're fully aware. So a lot of these women in the villages actually, if and when, unfortunately, they are a victim of an event like this, then one of these 3 workers brings them to the one-stop center. In the urban areas, we really don't have such a structured setup. The urban areas also have a lot of slums. They have these JJ clusters, and there is very low middle class, low economic group housing, and so on. But the penetration of government workers in those areas is very little. I do agree there's a lot of space that we need to cover, lot ground to be covered. And let me also tell you another thing. So when women come, I was Secretary Women and Child Development also, ACS Women and Child Development. So I would inspect a lot of these one-stop centers. You go there, you find women who've been trafficked and recovered, who've had experienced violence and have come. In the one-stop center, so there is a police officer, there's a legal officer, there is a warden who lives there so that she looks after this lady, feeds her and all that for that night or 2 that she spends there. So the lady comes, she spends a night, she needs medical help, we get the medical help and so on and so forth. So in a couple of days, the husband and the family, everybody comes. Most of the time, the woman says, I want to go back to my family. And the workers will say, ma'am, we counsel them. And they all said, okay, we'll not, we'll make sure we'll take care of her, etc., etc. And the woman goes back to that same ecosystem in which she's getting battered. Because she's not willing to punish the husband. The system is not going to support her if she stays outside her home, because there's no way, she's not financially independent. The first and foremost thing every woman in the country needs, everywhere rather, every woman needs is financial independence. That gives us the strength to make choices. Most Indian women are deprived of the ability to make those choices. And just the other day I had a WhatsApp forward, several of you must have seen. It says, we've spent a whole generation getting women empowered, but we forgot to train men how to handle an empowered woman. So it's time to get them into the room. Get all men, all brothers, all cousins, all fathers, all grandfathers, everybody into the room. And tell them, now the girl is not going to stay home. She will go out, she will work, she will pursue education, she will pursue her interests. Protect her, look after her, give her the safety, give her her space, and respect her for her choices. This is something we've completely ignored. So we'll spend another generation training them, hopefully. Yeah? But I agree. Yes. Sure.
So I had further questions on what you just said. So at these one-stop centers, we counsel women, but do we have enough resources to rehabilitate them? Maybe employment opportunities or any programs that would sort of give them the sort of empowerment you were just speaking about? Is it what's going on?
If she is willing to take an employment and if she is suitably qualified, we do try to put her into one of our working women hostels and then get her a job ASAP, because government can't just feed them. We are still not ready for that kind of a social security. So we do. But if she wants some training, we do also put them to some sort of trainings, data entry operators. That's the level to which women have come up so far. They are like basic metric rates or class 12, and they say, "Acha, computer seekh lenge." Otherwise, I mean, it's a big step forward. Till very recently, they could not think beyond stitching course. What in Haryanvi they call silai kadai. So the whole village is silai kadai. How many salwars can they make in the village? I can't believe this. The whole village is tailors. And like that, not just one village, all 7,000 villages in Haryana have had these silai kadai courses for donkey's years, even before I came to this state as an IS officer. And not just, I mean, that's the policy in the whole country. What have we given for women? Whereas they can be trained for hospitality industry, they can be trained as tourist guides, they can be trained as, chefs or helping in a kitchen and so on and so forth. But these are all very specialized. You have to have the aptitude, you have to have the attitude, you have to have the qualification.
Thank you for such an inspirational talk, first of all. And two things, like, one is that since you've mentioned about one-stop centers, childcare initiatives, I think it will be, and you yourself have mentioned that it will be very good if internships can be organized for all of us in these centers, because when you're especially talking about women and the empowerment, financial independence definitely is the first step towards it. However, the empowerment from within and that counseling and the mental health, all these things together, they make a lot of difference. So it will be a learning experience for us when we intern, and then later on probably we can actually do the consulting with the government and be a part of those centers. So I, I'm just hoping that there is a MOU that comes along where all these internships are actually offered with the prisons, with the so all these. Thank
Certainly,
you.
welcome. That's the space you will all fill in, actually. Every school is supposed to have a counselor, a psychological counselor. Count the number of schools we have in the country. Each one of you have a ready-made job out there. Every one-stop center in every district of the country has a counselor, supposed to have a counselor. Every national program, whether it's AIDS control program, whether it's tuberculosis control program, whether it's leprosy control program, eradication program, whether it's tobacco control program, whether it's non-communicable diseases like cancers and so on, all of them have provision for counselors. The civil surgeon Sonipat is sitting here from my department, Dr. Krishnan Kumar. You have all of them. Do you have so many counselors in your office? 3 है. Program आपके 29 है. 29 national programs, and there are 3 counselors. So they are your jobs. So, like Professor said, mental health is very much there, but it's not getting the ground that it ought to. We will all make that noise. Someone from here.
Yes, ma'am, thank you for your inspiring talk. There was a lot we took away from it. But one thing that stuck my mind was you talked about being a student of mindfulness. Could you tell us a bit more about it? Because it has to do with the mind, and the way the world is progressing, mindfulness is becoming a science in itself. So I think there's so much scope for discovering that. Could you please share a bit more about it?
Thank you for asking me that question. Yeah, that's a personal interest I've pursued. Meditation. I'll begin with meditation. In fact, let me go a little further. When Professor said, why is mental health not so important, or why it's getting so little attention? That's because, are we able to define mind? Do we see the mind? How do we define it? What is mind? Is there a definition for mind?
It's the thoughts that we actually kind of analyze and see and correlate with.
Yeah, so it says it is that element, that's the dictionary, Cambridge Dictionary definition. That's the element which makes you feel the way you feel. That's what it is. I googled, and on my way from Chandigarh to here, those 4 hours, I was just randomly saying, what shall I talk to these students? I read that speech and I said, my God, I'm not going to read these speeches. So let me just frame my thoughts, and these are youngsters. So I said, Acha, mental health to dekhte hain. So it says it is what makes you feel the way you feel. It is what makes you see the way you see. Now that reminds me of Cooley, a sociologist, who says, I think, what you think I am. Looking glass, yeah. Interesting, no? So you must give them a talk about it. I think, what you think I am. So the mindfulness stems from there. Where am I? What am I doing? What is it that I do to make me what I am? In this moment, I am expected to speak to you. Speak to you about a subject that has been given to me. If I come here and I say, oh, I'm a senior IAS officer, no, I can't sit like this, I can't talk like this, I can't talk to this bachcha, ye kya hai, bachche ko samne mere ko bitha diya. I'm not here in this moment. You're here for a commencement lecture. If you're busy on your WhatsApp, which I'm so happy to say, Professor, none of them open their mobile phones, which I expected, unfortunately, but they've disappointed me, and I'm so happy with the disappointment. This is one of the most pleasant disappointments I've had. None of them looked at this mobile phone. I must compliment all of you for your focus and commitment on your commencement lecture. So you're here in the moment. What happens after the moment is not in my hands. I've done my best. I've tried to reach out to you. What you will do with this is now your moment, not mine. How you will take it forward. I spoke of an MOU. I'm very serious about it. It's within my control. So I'll go back and write to Professor that we're very happy to explore areas of joint working and collaboration and so on and so forth. That's in my control, so I will do it. Whether you will take the internship, whether you will visit my centers, whether college will help you to visit my centers, is a college call and not mine. So I try to work in that framework. What is it that I can do to my best in this moment? Am I giving this moment my best? Did I somewhere vaguely answer you? It's a big subject. I actually practice a lot of meditation. I do believe that mind control is everything. Intuition is the force that drives you and makes you what you are. And each one of us are capable and competent to tap your intuition to the highest. So much so, you become so clairvoyant that events which are going to happen will appear to you even before they've happened. And you'd have seen at home, moms and grandmoms tell you, "Sapne mein aaya tha, aise hi hua aaj." That's because they're so purely involved into your process. So they're able to visualize what's going to happen. It will happen. That's intuition. And if you tap your intuition, the world, the universe is yours.
Yeah. Ma'am, I wanted to ask about the Hijra community and the transgender community. So I've seen so many people being kicked out of their houses and not getting gender reaffirming surgeries. So I was wondering what the Health and Family Welfare Department is doing about that, and if there's going to be any support offered anytime soon.
Yes. So this is a very marginal community that is part of our life. It's existed. We've been in denial for many years. But now government of Haryana has actually taken cognizance. Our Chief Minister has even announced a monthly pension for them, for the Hijra community. As part of, they are usually, not always, but usually they are sex workers also. So as part of our AIDS control program, we have a full vertical which actually addresses them. We work with them, we counsel them, we try to rehab them, we also try to mainstream them. There's a lot of medical help that's given to them. So there is some attention happening. Like I said, again, we're just touching the tips. There's lot to go deep into. It is.
Good afternoon, ma'am. So, ma'am, I have personally worked with rehabilitation counselors, and the main problem with the rehabilitation is that they don't have professional counselors. People who are addicts are running such centers, and that they are providing them drugs inside the centers, and it's a big fraud. It's a big business. I'm from Uttarakhand, so it's like the hub for drugs. And I've seen there, and we students, we go for internships. We have to pay 5,000 per month for an internship there. So we are doing everything we can, but I don't think so. We all come from a privileged family, but people who are not able to give such a big amount for an internship, and they're not able to help others. I've seen my friends leaving psychology after BA because they're there's no scope, because you have to pay, and we are just investing, we are not getting anything in return. At the end of the day, we need to make money for our families. So I don't know, everyone says that mental health workers are needed, but I don't see the positions or the opportunities for us when we complete our degrees. So I don't know what's happening in the
So two things. One, you talked about the centers which are all a fraud. So the de-addiction centers are run by government. They're also run by private organizations. Professor Sani mentioned about social justice department. Originally, when these de-addiction centers came in, they were part of the social justice department and not the health department. The Act also recognizes the licensing authority as the social justice department. So even if my department, health, wants to set up a de-addiction center, I take a license from there, which is an anomaly in a way, so we are trying to correct that at a policy level. Two, there are a lot of these private sector centers that have come up because it's very lucrative. There is no standards that have been set. In India, particularly on mental health, on a subject which is a rather abstract thing, so now with structured curriculum, structured instruction, a time will come when the quality certification will also happen. Even now we do, the social justice department and health department together do their certification, and once a year I think civil surgeon goes and inspects. And आप इन बच्चों को ना कोई यहाँ local आपके center होगा वो भी दिखाइए, सरकारी भी दिखाइए, private भी दिखाइए, so they'll have an idea of how they're working. So in a private setup, there are no free lunches. If there's any NGO which is saying we are in service and so on and so forth, I straight away ask them, what is the reason for your altruism? Please donate that money into the government treasury. We will use it where the way we want to use it. So anybody identifies a vertical, they found that there is money in this. So the drugs, actually, when people are a lot on injectable addiction, government encourages an oral substitution. So we give them the oral medicine, actually, so that the person is slowly weaned away. So this oral thing, now that all comes down to how honest and truthful and morally, moral integrity that we have. In the name of treating me, somebody is getting some grant from the government and using it to sell it in the market. That's on a different zone. That's a criminal action. So the layers of implementation for the mental wellness are just too many. So it's better we start when we are very young. Catch them young, make them students who are so robust in their thinking and their mind. Make the families so cohesive and conscious that children don't miss the bus. There's one question I want each one of you to ask yourselves when you wake up in the morning. This is the question which my law professor at the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy, where we get into IAS, we're trained at the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy in Mussoorie. So every morning he'll come into the class and he'll ask us, class, are you all mentally fit? And we say, yes, sir. Because they would actually wake us up at 6 in the morning, take us down 2 hills. From the hostels, we had to run down and do exercise and horse riding and so on, and walk up those 2 hills and come for breakfast. All within 20-25 minutes time, you'll have to go to the room and wash up and dress up. And then in the academy, you can't be in beautiful casual dresses like this. You have to be very formal, with a sari and a lapel card and everything pinned up, and boys in a proper suit and tie and so on and so forth in those 15 minutes. And then he'll ask us, are you all mentally fit? And we are supposed to say, yes, sir. Half of us are sleeping, actually. But second, he would say, I'm sorry, he would ask, are you all physically fit? Mentally alert? The second question. The third is spiritually high. When you wake up in the morning, ask these 3 questions. Am I physically fit? Am I mentally alert? Am I spiritually high? That will take you through your day. If you're not, look at it. Why am I not mentally alert? I didn't sleep well. Why did I not sleep well? I was under stress, or I was watching a movie late night, I was partying late night. Why did you party late night? Balance. Balance is the key. Keep a balance in life. Party. Please do party. Party hard. But once in a while. Balance. It's just about balance.
Maybe the last question is
Thank you, ma'am. Your talk was very, very inspiring, and thank you so much for that. And I just thought to inform you that with the guidance and mentorship of Sahni sir, we already have a center here, Center for Ethics, Spirituality and Meditation. And we have regular meditation sessions every evening. And we also have a lot of courses like courses on Bhagavad Gita and ancient wisdom also. And I am part of the government committee on IKS, that is a Bharati Gyan Parampara. So, ma'am, I have just one small question that you mentioned about hard work and focus are the very important ingredients. But the latest research is saying that hard work is not that much important, but the hard play is more important. That when you're working as per your Swabhav and Swadharma, and what you can say like a Swantaya Sukhaye, ki in your own moj, you know, when you're working and when you're losing track of time, and the very concept that you are working hard, sometimes it become in a negative sense, ki I have to really work hard in order to get that. So then sometime I am not able to play my natural self aligned with my Swabhav and Swadharma and Swantaya Sukhaye. So would you like to throw some light on that?
Interesting question.
Thank you.
Happy to know you have a center for spirituality. I would love to visit that as well sometime maybe. If I know my nature is not for hard work, I have to set my goal in accordance with my nature. Each one's threshold of hard work is different. My threshold may be 9 hours, his threshold may be 16 hours. I have to be mindful of that. I cannot burn myself away to achieve something, then I'm burnt. I'm only ashes then. That reality check is a must. Probably I didn't dwell on it. When you set your focus, and I'm talking of hard work, we must also know the limits. My internal limits, what all is it that I can do? How much can I push myself? How much do I know? How much do I not know? It'll keep me humble, it'll keep me grounded, it'll also keep me aware. And external limits. What is possible in that ecosystem? If I'm existing in this room, I have to behave according to the rules of this room. Within this room, I can rise up to the ceiling. I can't break this and go somewhere. Knowing your limits, that's also very important. They're part of, these are all self-help theories, I think, some other talk someday. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Anupama, for your articulate thoughts and engaging in the audience with your wonderful experiences. You've certainly opened up many avenues of thought and things that we must now ponder and reflect upon. Now I'd like to invite Professor Sridhar Patnaik, Registrar O.P. Jindal Global University, to deliver the concluding remarks.
Thank you so much. Very good afternoon, ma'am, to you, Dr. Sani, and everyone present here. Well, I'm not going to say anything about the university, even a bit, because you heard enough in terms of what our cardinal principles are, what we practice, and what we can offer you. But I must compliment the leadership of the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences, led by Dr. Sani, for all their achievements and COMIA and whatever they contributed to the teaching, research, and capacity building. So a big round of applause to the the JIBS faculty members and the administrative staff members, and of course, students. And as you all know, you have so many things on offer as you embark upon your master's degrees. Moving ahead, I wanted to compliment Dr. Anupama ji for her very mellifluous talk. I must say, ma'am, you're a great teacher, and we only wish that we had students of other programs and schools in the audience as well, because whatever you had just mentioned, it's so much in sync with the principal outcomes of the graduate attributes that we expect from our students, and there is a certain joy listening to your thoughts, listening to your lecture. So therefore, I must say that it's intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and joyfully very stimulating listening to you. And I only wish that all our students, faculty members, including my own self, we practice some of these virtues and attributes. And more in essence, usually when we talk about commencement lectures, we do have certain expectations. And the expectations are even to know something about the future paths and the areas on which we need to focus and ponder. And your commencement lecture established that particular pathway. So a big round of applause to Madam Anupamaji for her time and efforts. And all you students, you're so very privileged, not only because you're part of the OP Jindal Global University, but also a part of the center, the institute, which has been doing phenomenal work. So I wish that you get benefited by all the opportunities that are presented to you and develop a nuanced understanding of the subject and be more compassionate to your peers and to the society, and that's what is more important. On this particular note, I thank Madam Anupamaji for taking time out to be here with all of us, and even for her fullest support and cooperation to the future activities of the university and even the JIBS. And I'm also grateful to Dr. Hani, a great friend, a mentor, and a great colleague to work with and to be with, for his invitation to me to be a part of this very historic moment today, because after having began their work a decade ago, now they started off with the newest programs this year, and my deepest congratulations to each one of you and even to the leadership of JIBS for having commenced these programs. And on this particular note, I congratulate each one of you once again, and I wish you the very best in your academic and other endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your insights, Professor. I would like to thank everyone for being present at the event. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.